A stranger at my wedding reception stood up and announced, "This bride is already married to my brother in Montana." The music cut off mid-song. 200 guests turned to stare at the man standing near the back of the ballroom, his hand raised like he was objecting in court. My new wife Nicole's fingers went rigid in mine. We'd been about to cut the cake, and the knife was still in my other hand, suddenly feeling heavy and absurd. "Excuse me?" I said, my voice echoing in the silent room. The man was maybe 40, wearing jeans and a flannel shirt that looked out of place among the suits and cocktail dresses. He stepped forward, pulling something from his jacket pocket. "Her name isn't Nicole Brennan," he said, his voice steady and clear. "It's Nicole Garrett. She married my brother Steven 3 years ago in Missoula, and they're still legally married right now." Nicole's face had gone completely white. She released my hand and took a step backward. The room erupted in whispers, and I saw my mother stand up from her table, her mouth open in shock. "This is insane," Nicole said, but her voice came out thin and shaky. "I don't even know this person." The man held up what looked like a photograph. "Then explain why I have wedding photos of you and Steven from June 2021. My best man Jordan moved toward the man, probably to escort him out, but I held up my hand. Something about the man's expression stopped me. He wasn't drunk or causing a scene for attention. He looked grim and determined, and his hands were shaking slightly as he held that photograph. "Let me see that," I said, walking toward him. Nicole grabbed my arm. "Andrew, don't. This is clearly some kind of mistake or a sick joke. Call security." But I was already taking the photo from the man's hand. My stomach dropped as I looked at it. The woman in the white dress was unmistakably Nicole, maybe a few years younger with slightly darker hair, but definitely her. She was kissing a man I'd never seen before in front of what looked like a courthouse or municipal building. Mountains rose in the background. "This could be photoshopped," I said. But even as I spoke, I was remembering something strange. Nicole had always been vague about her past before we met. She'd told me she grew up in Oregon with a single mother, moved around a lot, hadn't kept in touch with family. She had almost no online presence from before 2 years ago, which she'd explained as being private and deleting old accounts. I'd found it refreshing at the time, a woman who wasn't obsessed with social media. The stranger's name was Thomas Garrett, and he pulled out more evidence from the manila envelope he'd been carrying. Marriage license from Flathead County, Montana. Joint bank account statements with Nicole's signature. Photos of her and Steven at a cabin, at a restaurant, standing in front of a Christmas tree. In each photo, she was wearing a gold wedding band I'd never seen. "Where is Steven now?" I asked, my voice sounding distant to my own ears. Thomas's jaw tightened. "That's why I'm here. Steven disappeared 8 months ago, cleaned out their bank accounts, took out 3 credit cards in his name, and vanished. I've been trying to find him for months, and last week I was going through his computer files. Found photos of Nicole from after she supposedly left him. Recent photos, from this year." He pulled out printed social media posts, and I recognized them immediately. They were from Nicole's Instagram, the one she'd created a year ago when we got engaged. Pictures of us at the beach, at my sister's birthday party, at a charity gala for my family's foundation. "Steven was monitoring her online," Thomas continued. "He had a whole folder tracking her new life. That's how I found out about this wedding. I tried calling the venue, but they wouldn't give me information. So I bought a plane ticket and came here to warn you before you made a terrible mistake." My father was moving through the crowd now, his face red with anger. "This is completely inappropriate. I'm calling the police to have you removed." But Thomas didn't back down. "Please do call the police. I filed a missing persons report for Steven 6 months ago. The detective in Montana will be very interested to know where Nicole is." Nicole had tears running down her face now, black mascara creating dark streaks. "Andrew, please, let's go somewhere private and I'll explain everything. This isn't what it looks like." But her voice had changed. The confidence she always carried was gone, replaced with something that sounded like desperation. Jordan was at my shoulder, speaking quietly. "We should move this out of the ballroom. Half your guests are recording this on their phones." He was right. I could see dozens of phone screens glowing, all pointed at us. This disaster was being documented in real time, probably already being uploaded to social media. "Everyone, please enjoy the bar and appetizers," I announced, my voice barely working. "There's been a misunderstanding we need to resolve privately." My mother was crying, being comforted by my aunt. Nicole's side of the room was strangely quiet. I realized I'd only met her mother once, briefly, and she hadn't come to the wedding, claiming illness. Nicole said she had no other family. How convenient that sounded now. We moved to a private office off the main ballroom. Me, Nicole, Thomas, Jordan, and my father, who refused to be left out. Hotel security stood outside the door. Nicole sat in a chair, her elaborate wedding dress spread around her like a deflated parachute. "Tell me the truth," I said. "Right now, all of it." She was quiet for a long moment, staring at her hands. When she finally spoke, her voice was different. She said, "To see the full story, click the link below or go on my channel."